Welcome to part 2 about resumes for Boys and Girls Clubs of Western Pennsylvania. So, in part 1, we were talking about how you can write under related experience the most important and most relevant work experience that you have that relates to the job that you're applying for. Now, if you have not had a previous job before, you can use this space to write about any previous experience that you have in any leadership role or any other organization that would be really relevant for your future employer to know. So my example was that if you're working for the Boys and Girls Clubs, or if you're applying at a similar location, such as a child care center, you can write here, even if you didn't have a job at the Boys and Girls Clubs, you can write that you were a member at the Boys and Girls Clubs. What years did you work there? You always want to list years, not necessarily month and year, because it makes it look like you were there for a longer time. If you say 2003 to 2005 versus if you say December 2003 to January 2005. And then list activities as separate bullet points. So whether you worked at the Boys and Girls Clubs or you were a member there, you want to list the things that you did that helped you to develop leadership experience. So if you were a part of Top Club, CareerWorks, Torch Club, RBI, you should write those things there. If you were a junior staff member, you would write what activities you completed during your job. So you could say checking members in upon arrival and departure. You could say leading activities with younger members at the clubhouse. You could say checking in with the clubhouse director daily to receive tasks. You want to make it kind of long-winded and a longer sentence and more formal because, again, this is just standard professional resume writing. You don't want to list just one word. You don't want to say fun activities with kids. What about fun activities with kids? Did you lead them or did you participate in them? You need to be specific. And if you even designed those activities, you want to take credit for the most involvement that you had without stretching the truth. Now, if you had more than one item that you thought should go under related experience, pretend that you've graduated your post-secondary education, you got a training in welding, and you interned as a welder or with another trades company as a high school student, and then you completed your post-secondary education. Your post-secondary education would go here, and your internship would go here. You can really make your resume look however you want it to look, but at the same time, you want it to be semi-structured. So if you feel that you have more than one very, very important experience that relates to the job that you're applying for, you can list them both here. Now, you might be asking, well, what if I worked at Kennywood in high school and I'm applying to work in the call center at my college? You can write other work experiences down here if it's not as important, and if you already have one listed under related experience. If you don't already have one listed here, you want to write whatever work experience you have to sort of fill in this blank. And if you don't have more experiences to write under other work experiences, you can just delete that part. Skills. Now, if you have experience with typing, with Google or Microsoft platforms such as spreadsheets, documents, or again, if you have experience with babysitting, with leading games with kids, with prepping food, you want to write those skills here. You want to write the skills first that are most relevant to the job that you're applying for, but then be sure to include other skills because you never know who is going to get your resume, who it's going to be passed on to, and what opportunity they might have for you if they know what all of your experiences are. Activities and awards. Again, if what you're applying for has nothing to do with Boys and Girls Club, you can write your Boys and Girls Club experience here, but I would encourage you to think of any Boys and Girls Club experience as a way to develop leadership and something that is really important for you to highlight on your resume. And so if you worked with leading younger activities for kids, but you were just a volunteer or you were a really ambitious 13-year-old, you can write that here as a leadership activity. Finally, references. You want to list the first, last names and email contact information for 2 people who can speak to how great you are. And before you write them down, you want to make sure that you have their permission. So that's a brief overview of resumes. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.